Jane Morrison stood on a safety boat, gripping the cold railing as she observed an unusual scene unfold before her eyes. The large ship, Mariner EcoWorks, was anchored against the backdrop of a breathtaking sunset, its shadow casting a long silhouette across the ocean's surface. Massive crane arms swung over the deck, dropping stacks of black tires into the sea with a precision that seemed almost ritualistic. Jane, a seasoned journalist with a keen eye for environmental issues, captured the event with her camera, noting the careful manner in which the deckhands operated. But before we start, can we get 1,000 likes for this video? Smash the like button, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming stories. The name Mariner EcoWorks was emblazoned on the ship's side, and Jane's instincts told her there was more to this story than met the eye. She quickly contacted the crew via radio to inquire about their activities. The crew confirmed they were deploying reef modules under a permit, advising her to stand clear due to the active cranes. Despite their explanation, Jane remained skeptical. Her experience covering environmental issues made her wary of corporate justifications. The mention of reef modules intrigued her, as she recalled past instances where unconventional materials were used to create artificial reefs. However, tires were notorious for causing environmental damage, as evidenced by the failed Osborne Reef project off Florida decades ago. Determined to uncover the truth, Jane instructed the skipper to bring the boat closer for better shots, and then to circle wide for a full view of the ship. She noted the boys marking a grid in the water and recorded their GPS coordinates. Her phone buzzed with a call from her editor, Clive, who was both curious and concerned about the situation. Jane described the scene, expressing her doubts about the legitimacy of the reef project. Clive, familiar with corporate justifications, urged her to continue investigating. As Jane observed the operation, she grappled with conflicting thoughts. The scene could easily be portrayed as environmental harm, but her instincts pushed her to dig deeper. The careful tagging of the bundles and the structured grid suggested a methodical approach, yet the memory of past failures lingered. Jane's resolve to uncover the truth remained unshaken. She knew the power of a well-told story and the impact it could have on public awareness. With her camera rolling and her instincts guiding her, she prepared to unravel the mystery behind Mariner EcoWorks' actions, determined to hold them accountable if necessary. Back at the marina, Jane disembarked from the safety boat, feeling the contrast between the solid ground and the shifting sea. She briefly interacted with a kid cleaning fish tables, who asked if she captured any good footage. Jane, uncertain, told him to ask her the next day. In her sand-filled rental car, she made several calls to gather more information, one to Mariner EcoWorks, another to a state environmental office contact, and a third to a university professor. The company responded first, with a woman named Alyssa Hart offering to share details about their work. Jane remained skeptical, recognizing the scripted nature of the conversation. Alyssa invited Jane to visit their staging yard and meet their scientific partners, providing permit numbers upon request. Jane's contact at the State Environmental Office confirmed that Mariner EcoWorks had been working with them for months and that they conditionally approved the project after reviewing new designs. The state contact explained that the project involved using bundled tires as a waste stream, which is cost-effective and abundant if done correctly. They acknowledged the risks, referencing the Osborne Reef failure, and emphasized the importance of avoiding similar mistakes. Later, Jane received a playful text from the professor, arranging a meeting. Jane drove to her motel, reflecting on her father's teachings about truth and responsibility. She recalled his advice about doing the right thing and the difference between people's intentions and actions. As she organized her notes and charged her equipment, she prepared for the next day's investigation. At sunrise, Jane visited the yard where the tires were processed. The site smelled of rubber and coffee, and forklifts moved around as the sun rose. Alyssa Hart, who had spoken to Jane on the phone, greeted her and offered to guide her through the process. The yard was organized, with tires neatly stacked and a clear separation between fresh and prepped materials. Jane observed the cleaning process, where a machine stripped, washed, and inspected the tires. A worker identified a tire with a crack as unsuitable for reef material. Alyssa and the worker explained the careful language used, avoiding terms like dumping, and described the materials and methods employed to secure the tires, emphasizing the strength and reliability of rope used. At the bundling station, tires were stacked into modules resembling honeycombs, with rods and plates securing them. Each module had anchor points and was tagged with a QR code and technician's initials. Jane questioned the choice of tires over other materials like concrete or reef balls. Alyssa explained that they use both tires and concrete, with a cost model supporting the use of tires and a science model indicating potential success if executed properly. Throughout her investigation, Jane remained cautious, balancing skepticism with an open mind as she sought to uncover the truth behind Mariner EcoWorks project and its environmental implications. A man named Luis Ortega, with a face marked by sun and salt, introduced himself to Jane. He was from the University of North Florida and had extensive experience diving reefs globally. He invited Jane to see a project aimed at avoiding the mistakes of past artificial reef attempts, such as the Osborne Reef, which failed due to poor planning and execution. Ortega emphasized their careful design and budgeting for adjustments if needed. They boarded a research boat, and Jane felt a thrill as they set off. She was an experienced diver but hadn't been in such honest, green waters for a while. She agreed to dive with a suit and tank, accompanied by a dive master named Bree. The familiar routine of safety checks comforted her. As they descended into the water, Jane adapted to the underwater environment, focusing on Bree's fins and adjusting her ears. The seafloor appeared, barren and sandy, until structures emerged, modules arranged in rows, each tied to posts and anchored by concrete blocks. It resembled a neat little farm. Life had begun to colonize the modules. Baitfish swirled around them, and other marine creatures like sheep's head and juvenile amberjack explored the area. A small octopus flashed colors as Jane's light passed over it. She touched a tire, feeling its smooth, cool surface. Dr. Ortega observed and noted fish counts, pointing out early signs of algae growth. He seemed cautiously optimistic, exhaling a metaphorical breath he'd been holding. The underwater scene wasn't beautiful yet, but it had a purpose. As they swam, Jane experienced a moment of anxiety when the current shifted, stirring the sand and clouding the water. Bree reassured her, and Jane calmed herself, resisting the urge to surface immediately. On their way back to the boat, they encountered a large grouper, contemplating the new environment. Once they surfaced, Jane asked Ortega about the project's timeline. He explained the staggered deployment of modules and the gradual colonization by marine life, acknowledging the potential impact of storms. Back at the dock, Jane spoke with two men observing them. One, named Arnie, mentioned the decline in fish stocks and expressed skepticism about the tire modules. He was uncertain about their effectiveness, but was open to seeing the results. Jane's experience highlighted the delicate balance between human intervention and nature's resilience. The project aimed to restore marine life, but its success depended on careful planning and adaptation. As they left, the men's cautious hope mirrored the project's uncertain potential. The second man interrupted, mentioning that someone from the state promised jobs and better fishing, but he was skeptical. Jane acknowledged that sometimes people are paid to remain silent. She left them and drove to the university to hear Dr. Ortega, who presented cross-sections and plans for a grid, emphasizing uncertainty with frequent use of if. Back at her motel, Jane studied an old Florida case and new permits, making lists of contacts for differing opinions on whether the project was a sin or salvation. A mysterious call informed her about tax credits for the project, suggesting a hidden agenda. She confirmed with a Department of Revenue contact that the credits were public, part of a deal due to the inconvenience of tire disposal. Clive called, seeking angles for a story. Jane considered portraying the project negatively, but believed it might be more complex. She contacted an activist who criticized the project as repackaged trash, suggesting patience instead of intervention. A NOAA contact confirmed their involvement and ongoing monitoring. Jane struggled with sleep, her mind noisy with questions. The next morning, a storm approached as a barge prepared to deploy tires. Protesters held a banner reading, "Stop dumping, battling the wind." A protest skiff dangerously approached the barge, causing tension. The Coast Guard intervened, calming the situation. As the storm passed, operations resumed. Jane observed Alyssa, noting pride and fear in her expression. The final module was deployed, and the barge lightened. Jane received a call from her father, who encouraged her to write truthfully. Back at a coffee shop, she began writing, describing the scene honestly. Tires entering the water under a sunset that felt like a contrived moral. Jane meticulously documented the details of her environmental story, from the technical aspects of the reef project to the human elements involved. She described the challenges and hopes surrounding the artificial reef, including the cautious optimism and the community's mixed reaction. A local fisherman shared his joy over improved catches near the new reef balls, emphasizing the importance of doing things right. Jane included various perspectives, from dock workers to a woman who valued patience. She acknowledged her initial misconceptions, admitting that learning more had changed her views. Clive, her editor, warned her that the article would provoke strong reactions from all sides, indicating its balance. The headline, "Beneath the Tires, a Reef Takes Shape," reflected this neutrality. The article sparked a flurry of comments, both critical and supportive. A high school teacher shared a hopeful story about students learning to engage with their environment, while another commenter noted the resilience of marine life. Alyssa, a colleague, later sent Jane a photo of a seahorse clinging to algae on the reef, symbolizing nature's adaptability. Jane revisited the site with Dr. Ortega, observing new life flourishing amid the reef's structures. She reflected on her journey, recalling past mistakes, warnings about financial influences, and the importance of maintaining faith in the project's potential. The story continued in the darkness and would persist even when there were no more words to describe it. For now, she had written all that could be written. She was prepared to do it again when the time came.